Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics, our last edition before the Thanksgiving holiday. We wanted to bring you a special guest for the first time on the show, Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer. Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics.
Great to be with you, Scott. Thanks for the invitation.
Very honored to have you. I want to start right off. It took a while to book you on. We're very grateful you made the time, but it turned out to be a very opportune week to have you on. Tax reform moved in the Missouri House this week, or in the United States Congress. Give us the breakdown on what that means for just a person in Warren County today.
Well, here in my district, you're looking at probably the average person getting about a $1,200 tax refund, or paying less in taxes for next year. The average family of four, average income $55,000, average mortgage probably will pay no taxes next year. So it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for people to be able to keep more of their money. You know, I'm of the mind, I'm sure you are too, Scott, that the money in people's pockets is theirs. It's not Washington's, it's theirs. And so we need to allow them to be able to keep their money, and they spend it how they see fit, and then they can drive this economy. Right now, what was happening in Washington with the past administration is they collect taxes, and they thought they could micromanage the economy by spending it where they thought they could get the most bang for the buck. That's not the way our economy should work. That's not the way Washington should work. They should allow the people to make those decisions, and that makes our economy the most dynamic in the world. Now, from the standpoint of our people in our district, you're looking at right here our postcard, which 90% of the people in the country, probably closer to 95, will actually be able to pay their income taxes with a simple postcard. Because what we've done is double the standard deduction from $12,000 to $24,000 for a couple. We've raised the amount of money that people will pay the bottom rate on. We've lowered all the rates. We've increased the child tax credit deduction, and we've kept the charitable deduction. We've kept the mortgage interest deduction. But this is what 90% of the people or more will be able to pay next year with a tax form like this. So it's going to be exciting.
The good folks that watch this show let me have the great honor of sitting in this chair. I get to interview folks like you every week. That's the difference to me, what you keyed on in the very beginning. Folks talk about their money and what the government can do and the government's money. None of it's the government's money. It's all money they've forcibly taken from people. And do you find in Congress that's the difference in how people view that money?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's by party. It's by it's by ideology. The ideology of the left. They truly believe that if you just give them all the money, they can solve all the problems. And they believe that the money that you earn, you've earned that for the good of the government, whether it's for the good of yourselves and your family and your business. And we, on the other side, believe that, if you give people the opportunity to be the exceptional people that they are, which the past administration refused to accept the fact that we are an exceptional people. We are an exceptional nation. And I can tell you from sitting in my chair where I have a chance to meet people from around the world. That's one of the neat parts about my job. And whenever they come through my office, they are sitting there just envious of who we are as a people, as a society, as a culture. Because they see us and the freedom that we have, and it's economic freedom that allows people to be able to not just go out and get a job that they want, but if they don't like the job, go to a different job, or have 2 or 3 jobs, or go start a new business. If that one fails, or if it succeeds, go start another business, or another business. The opportunity to do whatever you want to do at the level that you want to do it is yours. It's based on your abilities, your talents, and your willingness to work hard. Other countries, it's not like that. You're dictated from the time you're born, oftentimes, where you're going to be in life, what job you're going to have, and whether or not you're even going to be able to be successful or not. They will pick and choose who you are, and their tax policies, their government policies are such that it takes away that ability to be an entrepreneur. And when you take that ability of to be an entrepreneur away, that stymies the growth of your economy. This is what the president is trying to do with this tax plan. He's trying to enable and empower our American people to be all they can be. Because if they go out and do what they've done in the past, which I'm sure they're going to do now, if you enable them to do this, we're going to grow this economy at a rate we've never seen in 35 years.
So you have an interesting perspective, though. I hear a lot of folks, a lot of Republicans, call them W-2 Republicans. They know everything about economic development, and if you don't believe them, just listen, they'll tell you. You actually have ran a very successful business in central Missouri. You know what it's like to be a K1 Republican. It's tremendous. The thing you just said is great. I grew up in a trailer, just a simple hillbilly in West Butler County, but to get you on your own business is a wonderful honor. I know what it's like. I know what the 15th on the quarter means. I know what it's like when a 751 number calls. You get that fear in you because, trust me, the government ain't calling to help you. They're calling to harass you. If you are that businessman that creates those jobs, is that going to help you, and how?
Well, absolutely. What we've done, if you're a C Corp, we've dropped the rate from 35 down to 20. If you're an S Corp, we've dropped the rate down from what you were paying on your individual income tax at 39.6 down to 25. And so people argue about the 5% difference, but actually within that 25, we've also got a special 9% rate. If you're under 150,000 gross receipts, the first 75,000 is only 9%. You have the ability when you're an S Corp to take advantage of some other things that the C Corp can't. So as it plays out, it's still a benefit to be a S Corp if you're small enough, and the mom and pop shops are. And we put this special rate in there for the folks who make $150,000 or less to help those small family businesses, the shop on the corner or the individual one-man business. Maybe he's a finished carpenter or he's a plumber on his own. He doesn't make $150,000, but underneath that, we're going to reduce that rate some more. And besides that, the rate that is depending on where they are with that total, we've even dropped the tax bracket down for the personal money that comes through as well. So we're going to try to empower and give the ability of our small businesses to go out and drive this economy. And this is a middle class tax cut focused situation here where we want to enable those folks who are the ones who drive our economy to continue to do this.
Is having a businessman and an entrepreneur in the White House driving part of that?
Oh, absolutely. He gets it. I mean, this is whenever he was elected, I said, if we're able to help him, check the boxes of what he promised, our economy is going to go great guns. And the only thing, quite frankly, Scott, that is going to keep us, we've had this bill scored, and it's scored anywhere from 3.5% to 3.9% growth for our economy. We haven't had over 2% for the entire Obama presidency. And we were being talked, and talked to the fact that they thought this was going to be the new norm. 2% growth, that is anemic. That is just barely above an inflation rate. That's not who we are as a people. We can do better than that. And the president said that. He said he wants to make America great again. And somebody once told me, I saw a quote this last week, that if you want to be a world power, you got to be a military power. And if you want to be a military power, you got to be an economic power. And if you want to be an economic power, you've got to free up your people to be able to drive this economy. The president gets it.
How's that president doing in the middle of Missouri?
He's doing fantastic. He's doing fantastic. I tell people, the folks in Washington, they live inside a bubble, and they don't get it. But I tell them, I say, the president in my area, in my state, he walks on water. And probably right now, he no longer walks on water, he probably levitates above it. The people absolutely love this guy. He is going down the line and checking all the boxes that he said he was going to do, the things he's going to do in the campaign. I've got a list of things here, a mile long, 2 pages long, of things he said he was going to do, and he is doing them. Now, the media's not going to tell you all this, because they don't want you to know what he's actually doing. But I can tell you behind the scenes, this guy is getting stuff done. And he's putting people in places within the administration that are quality people who get his programs, his policies, and want to make a difference as well. There was an article just this morning I saw where it was about Rex Tillerson. He's cleaning out the Department of State. It needs to be cleaned out. And I can tell you that Scott Pruitt at EPA, he's in the process of cleaning out the EPA. And Richard Cordray, the director of CFPB, he is going to resign at the end of the month here. Just announced that this week. Thank goodness. And we get that place cleaned out, we can make a whole lot of progress on the financial services front.
Let me ask you one more question while we're talking politics. There's a big U.S. Senate race coming up. Many times people have mentioned you for running for statewide office, for U.S. Senate. You've maintained your seat in Congress. Where do you think that Senate race is, and who's going to win?
Well, I've seen some polling data that tells me that Senator McCaskill's in trouble. I think Josh Hawley has a great opportunity to pick this seat up. I think if we deliver tax reform and can show the people of this state that Republicans in Congress can get something done, as difficult as it is, a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to get things done in Washington, but if we can get this done and show that Republicans can lead, that we can govern, I think it's a great opportunity.
Think Senator McCaskill votes for it at the end of the day?
I think if she doesn't vote for it, she has absolutely zero chance of winning in next November. I think her only chance to hold her seat is if at the end of the day she votes for the final package.
You might be right, but I think maybe the real question is, Donald Trump elected a full state of Republicans, statewide elected officials. Can he elect Josh Hawley at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on This Week in Missouri Politics.
Been fun. Thank you, Scott. Look forward to coming back.
We'll be right back with our Opinion Maker panel. Scott Dickhouse joins the show after this.
In 2008, Republic Services acquired the Bridgeton landfill in a merger. Since then, we've invested $200 million to clean up the site and to maintain environmental compliance. We do that while staffing the facility 24/7. That's because we support permanent solutions that are safe for our neighbors and clean up the environment. We're committed to doing what's right. That's what drives us every day. We're a part of the community, and we are here for the long haul. Republic Services. We'll handle it from here.
My name is Eric Philippi. I'm a veteran, a carpenter, and a father. When Eric Greitens said he was going to change politics as usual, folks like me didn't think the first thing he'd do as governor was take dead aim at our jobs and our families' livelihoods by working to repeal prevailing wage. Call Governor Greitens. Tell him to protect prevailing wage and to protect my family, not destroy it.
At Ameren, Missouri, we believe in the power of light. It makes scary stories less scary, and nighttime adventures more likely to last the night. A bright enough light can illuminate opportunities to affect positive change, neighborhoods that need a helping hand, and the advancements needed to ensure tomorrow is a little cleaner than today. Transforming the future of our community by shining light in every direction. That's energy at work. Ameren, Missouri.
Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics. I want to jump right into our opinion maker panel this week. The first name in conservation, Brandon Butler. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Scott Dighouse, friend of the show. Welcome back, sir. Coming off a big win.
Appreciate having me on.
We got to have a winners panel last week, and now we get to have one again this week. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Mr. St. Louis, Camo X, the provocateur of Donnybrook. I've never been nervous doing one of these shows until today.
Oh,
Very
give
honored
me
to
a break.
I couldn't mean it more. Good to have you on, sir. Thank you for making
Scott,
time.
thanks a lot.
And Mike Jones, veteran Politico, member of the state school board. Welcome, and what an opportune week for you to be on the show.
Well, that's probably why I got the call. But
What's going on with the situation at DESE right now?
well, fundamentally, we've had 3 members request a special meeting to consider the tenure and status of Commissioner Margie Van Dieven. And I've gotten probably over 1,000 emails this week from people all over the state, a lot of educators, but also parents, but superintendents, teachers, retired and active school board members that are stressing 2 things. Fundamentally, they think Commissioner Van Dieven has done an extraordinary job, particularly of bringing the educational community together and working on advancing the best interests of all Missouri children in public education. And secondly, the constitutionality of the premise of the whole act. The 47 change in the Missouri Constitution created the State Board of Education as an independent, nonpartisan entity that really has only one job, and that's to hire the commissioner. I mean, and Missouri schools are basically run locally. We set standards and create accountability.
Okay, so help me out here. Why are they trying to fire the commissioner?
Now, that will be the $64,000 question.
Scott
And
Dighouse,
as a matter of fact, you just asked a question that I will have on Tuesday, okay?
You know more about education policy than most people that I know. You come to as a Republican state legislator. You dove into this. I guess let's start before we get into the charter school aspect of this. The way it's set up, is this how it should be done? Are the commissioners a supplicant of the governor meant to implement his will?
You know, I think what the governor's trying to do is he's trying to change the conversation in the state of Missouri. And Missouri's been a state that's been very, very slow to change when it comes to our education system. I think he's trying to push a little bit from behind and maybe push a little bit hard and a little bit fast to make some of those changes. We talked about the state board being, before we came on air, being, kind of the folks that implement the accountability or implement the standards, put the standards out there for the local schools to follow the guidelines. But we really haven't adopted choice in our schools in the state of Missouri, at least outside of the major metropolitan areas.
Don't we have to throw in, because maybe
it's not universally known that there was a member of the State Board of Education, Melissa Gellner, who was appointed by the governor, sworn in, and then removed by the governor, even though there's legislation that says that to remove someone in that position, you have to have a hearing, and then you have to look into malfeasance, misfeasance, and other issues, and that wasn't done.
Sure.
So the governor appointed someone who we think did not approve of Dr. Van Dieven, so he yanked her out of there. I think he should be able to put in someone who reflects his views.
Sworn in and not confirmed.
Right, that's correct.
So the legal
may have
question.
some- she may
Right,
have
I was
some
going to say the
company with
legal
that.
question.
But that, I would go to that point specifically. Since to be on the State Board of Education, you have to be confirmed by the Missouri Senate.
Right.
If you want to make a major shift in educational policy, that's just
Sure. Okay.
or
direction, sure.
Direction. You know, I'll stipulate to your premise. Then part of the constitutional process should be the Missouri Senate should confirm you, that then authorizes you to engage in that action. It's precipitous and probably not very conservative to throw away that tradition and those norms to facilitate a political conversation.
Brother, let me ask you a question. You deal with the Conservation Commission on a daily basis. Is the view of these commissions that they appoint Missourians that are respected in their communities, the Senate confirms them, and they make independent decisions, and the governor checks their ideology and checks their qualifications and puts them up? Or is it the job of them to take direction directly from the governor?
No, I think they're supposed to operate as individuals, holding the best for the people of Missouri at heart.
And put a thin layer between the politics that would,
Absolutely, they were set up to be non-political commissions.
This has been the ugliest firing, Charlie Brennan, you've ever seen. I mean, it's
Well, it's unceremonial for sure. I believe in following the law, but I happen to disagree. I think that the people elected Eric Greitens, for better or worse, to reflect certain views, and that might be charter schools. I mean, he believes that parents should be able to leave a public school if they don't like it, just like 32 teachers recently did in the St. Louis public schools because they said that there was feces on the wall and they were attacked by the students. If the teachers can break their contracts and leave, why can't the students leave? I mean, that's what the governor's saying. And if he wants to put people on the State Board of Education that reflect those views, fine. I just think he has to follow procedure
But
if
you
he wants to
just
remove
skipped the
them.
And I'm just going back to the Missouri Senate. I mean, I'm not arguing that he can't have that predisposition. I'm saying that the Missouri Senate, who was also elected by the people throughout the state of Missouri, they have a role in that process too.
I'm going to ask you the question that I think a lot of fair people that don't follow this closely would ask. Okay. Eric Greitens was elected by a significant portion. He said he wanted to have school choice. What is the intellectual issue? I understand the procedural one, but do you have an intellectual issue with him putting people that just take orders from him on the Board of Education?
If he can pull that off, okay, seriously, I'm not for me. I'm just gonna make it.
Sounds like he's got 3, right?
No, he doesn't have 3. Okay, now the question is, does he have 5? I know he got 3 no's. The question is, does he have 5 yeses? But all I'm just saying that the process, a more skillful, competent political move would to be ensure that you could get 5 people through the Missouri Senate that reflected your point of view, so that they would have the legitimacy to then move in that direction and
wrap this up,
validate
though, if there are people that go on there first day on the job, first month or 2 on the job, just fire the commissioner, can they get confirmed by the Missouri Senate?
If I were a Missouri senator, I would never speak for the Senate. But if I were a senator,
give me a prediction. Do they get confirmed or not?
I wouldn't let the governor take away my senatorial prerogative. So the
Charlie
answer
Brennan,
would be no.
can these people get confirmed? They show up the first day and fire the commissioner, or does the Senate bounce them?
That's a great question. I say they get confirmed.
I say they don't get confirmed.
I think they get confirmed.
They get confirmed.
Is that right? I'm the wrong one. Let's talk about a thing that you were right on.
I'm with you.
Yeah, let's talk about a person that came on this show, threw down the gauntlet early, and was right. Scott Diggaz, we have the tape somewhere. I was going to save it if you were wrong. But since you were right, you predicted Rob Vescovo would win. I think to some it might have been an upset, especially early on. He comes in. My read on this would be that caucus wants an aggressive posture. They want to be a little more aggressive to the Democrats, a little more aggressive to the governor, a little more aggressive in messaging. Is that why Rob Vescovo won?
I think Rob Vescovo is a compliment to Speaker Richardson, a compliment to Speaker-elect Haar, in that he does take a little bit more aggressive tone. I think the caucus saw that. I think they like what they saw. But more than anything, I think what the race boiled down to was Rob wanted it. He went out, he worked hard, he visited with caucus members in their district for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours. He put 25,000 miles on his car this summer and through the fall. He wanted it. I think the caucus saw how badly he wanted it, and they saw in him somebody who, if he worked that hard for the position, they knew that he was going to work hard for them, that he was going to work hard to make sure that we were recruiting good candidates for the House Republicans, and that we were going to work hard to keep and retain our members.
Brandon Miller, you've worked with Rob Boscova in the past. What kind of floor leader will he be?
A no-nonsense floor leader. I like the fact that he gets the job done, and I like the fact that he comes from a part of the state that has a conservation-based constituency. It's top deer hunting, turkey hunting location in the state.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Jefferson County, Franklin County. Those are big areas for the outdoors. So hopefully he keeps that in mind.
Charlie Brennan, it's an interesting thing to watch this Republican caucus. I think a lot of folks would have thought they were aggressive already. Now you see them voting for someone to take that up a notch. Is that a little surprising?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, the relationship between the lawmakers and the governor hasn't been all that great since Governor Greitens was elected and took office last year. So I think it's going to work in his favor if it is, as you say, if he is doing the old-fashioned people politics, putting miles on his car instead of spending his time on Twitter, I think he'll be an effective guy. One thing that he ran on was that he was going to eliminate a lot of these special tax breaks that people like Stan Kroenke were looking for. I think that'd be a huge improvement if he could convince other lawmakers in the state to do that.
Interesting. Rob Boscova comes in, more aggressive posture. Interesting thing. Do you think, as someone that does observe the legislature, a little bit more sticking up for themselves wouldn't hurt the Missouri House?
Well, one, I think that would be a good thing relative to his aggressiveness towards Democrats. As a black progressive Democrat, I'm already Sam Houston in the Alamo, so and I don't think we're gonna get any relief anytime soon. So the question is just how bravely we resist until something happens.
Scott Daigle, there were times in last session when the Missouri House, at least from the outside, looked like it really was carrying a lot of water for the governor while he attacked them. Is that something you see coming a little differently with Rob Boscova? Is he a grown man that's going to let somebody publicly humiliate him and embarrass him and then still carry his water and thank him?
I think one of the things that Rob talked to a lot of his colleagues about when he was out on the road was that he was going to advocate for them, for their positions. Yeah. And that means at times he's going to be pushing back against the Senate. That means at times he's going to be pushing back against the governor. I think the caucus genuinely believes, I genuinely believe that Rob, he's willing to engage in a fight when he has to, but I think he's smart enough to know when the time is right to engage in those fights.
Brandon Miller, can't let you leave without talking about conservation. What's going on right now?
Poaching. We're going to work hard on poaching this year. Conservation often takes a defensive approach in the Capitol. I think it's time that we actually start moving the ball down the field. Poaching's a crime that steals from all Missourians. Hunters and anglers contribute well over $1 billion to the economy of this state every year. And when you're stealing wildlife resources, you're stealing from every Missourian.
And is that a legislative issue?
It will be, yeah. Senator Schatz is hopefully going to be carrying the bill that he carried last year, and we'll be pushing it harder.
Charlie Brennan, the U.S. Senate race, Blaine Luetkemeyer said something I thought was very interesting. He said that he thought Claire McCaskill, if she doesn't vote for the tax reform bill, she doesn't have a chance to win her Senate race. Do you see it that way?
I'm not sure because I just saw on Fox that only,
24%.
Maybe less 16% of Americans.
Down to 16 now.
Something like that. 16% of Americans think that tax bill is going to result in lower taxes for them. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting time when you have one of our big supporters, Al Franken, in the news. He was here just in town 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, in a big
campaigning for the Democrats.
Campaigning for the Democrats, and now. I don't know. We're kind of an attention deficit nation. By the time people vote next November in 2018, a lot of this is probably going to be forgotten about.
I think Republicans should be a little careful being too much on, you served with Al Franken, you support Al Franken, because it could be a Republican next.
Listen, it comes down on both sides, and the news stories kind of sway back and forth. You're right. We have our own issues to worry about in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
The Democrat Party has their issues. And, the thing to remember in all of this is that most of the people that serve in Jefferson City and Washington, D.C. are good, decent people. And, you know, unfortunately, we have to talk about them when they're not.
Brandon Weller, Clembergas was somebody who has prided herself on going out to rural Missouri, shaving off maybe in Texas County, getting 5 points ahead of what most Democrats get. Is that something she can do this time? And does this tax bill matter in that?
Well, she's been good on conservation and environmental issues, and you know, that resonates in rural Missouri as well as urban Missouri. So I think that she does better in rural parts of the state because of that. As far as the tax issue, you know, I think it's just too early to tell.
Right. What about Josh Hawley? Mike Jones scares Democrats.
I think you don't know what the political environment is going to be by November of 2018. So I think the laws of the physical political universe as we used to understand them are no longer applicable. So I would have said he wouldn't have been the Attorney General. So who's to say you can't be a United States Senator? But you don't know what this environment is going to look like by next fall. And I think the problem for Republicans in this is that they have a base that is no longer reflected in the ruling political dogma of the party. So you got a working class party, and you got a fairly corporate 1% economic agenda, and at some point those are going to collide. And when they do,
Charlie Bruno, if Josh Hawley has to rely on Donald Trump to carry him across, can he do it a year from now?
I think in Missouri, I think he will.
I think
Yes.
he might too. With the minute left,
it's Missouri, which
it
is
is,
like
and it's Missouri.
Right, which is kind of like a little bit like Mississippi, Alabama. So anything is possible.
With a minute
But
left,
more conservative.
With a minute left, who won the week?
Huh?
Who won the week?
Women won the week.
Interesting. Who won the week?
I say the ACLU in its suit against the police in federal court with that decision by Judge Catherine Perry.
Talked about it on Kim because it was a well thought out decision. I mean,
Almost 50 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did her homework.
Who won the week?
The new majority floor leader, Rob Vescovo.
Might throw Scott Dickhouse in with that too. Who won the week?
Every white-tailed deer that made it through opening weekend.
The ones that made it through. If the whitetail are watching this program, they can be a little safe
right now.
Yeah, they're probably hunkered down. I'm going to say an old senator that does know the ropes, Charlie Shields. It's always interesting when you see these things in the news. The folks really in the trenches, and I think maybe he had a pretty good week. We'll see if he won next
He's a
week.
good president. It's been a pleasure working with him.
And we will be off next week for Thanksgiving, and we'll be back December 1st with former Governor Jay Nixon joining us. We'll see you then. This Week in Missouri Politics, brought to you by Spire and Sterling Bank.